With the new big event, we have a chance to get a UR large cruiser, our first Russian carrier, and some great waifus. Hello and welcome. This is Neldrin, and today, let's discuss the Abyssal Refrain event. But before that, if you haven't subscribed yet, here's the sign you are looking for, to hit the subscribe button. Abyssal Refrain is currently up and will be until March 9th. For beginners, my advice is to build on the event construction pool, and have a chance to get Crunchtad. If you are lucky to get her, then you already have a huge advantage on the early game, as she is one of the few that is a UR rarity, which is the highest. For experienced players, as always, here are our event reminders, and which are good to buy in the event shop. The following are the notable drops on each map. If you will be farming for points by efficiently using your oil, go to C2, as it only requires 4 battles before the boss spawn. But I highly suggest farming on D3 for a chance to get the washing machine and toolbox blueprint, which are staple auxiliary to most cruisers, and a chance to get Kiev. Now let's check each ship in this event. First, we have Kronshtadt. She's the 3rd Russian ship with a mole in the chest. Her base stats are a bit lower from Azuma, and only have better firepower than Agir, probably making her have the lowest stats among the large cruisers. But don't get me wrong, these stats are top tier, if you compare her to most of the heavy cruisers. Her red skill passively increases her firepower and evasion. She will also unleash a special barrage which can be further upgraded if you will use a higher caliber gun. Her blue skill is a good defensive buff, especially when you equip Russian gear in any slot. This will also fire a special barrage which debuffs enemy firepower. This can be useful especially in Operation Siren and other late-game stages where enemies' gunfire are plenty. Her yellow skill is a self-heal, plus reduce burn damage whenever her HP falls at under 10%. Additionally, this also has cross-fleet support. Kronshtadt is overloaded with utility in her skills. Her firepower self-buff actually makes her the top large cruiser in terms of the said stat. She got double barrages, which compensates her lack of all-out assault, plus utility, which is very helpful in both fleets you are using. Because of her self-heal plus large HP pool, she's a great tank for either mob or boss fleet. The following are my gear setup to her depending on the enemy I will fight. You want to use her gun that can be bought in the event shop. This will open up for you to equip the Neptune gun on her secondary slot. This is the fastest gun you can equip without compromising damage. But if you will fight light armor, Chappie gun is your best bet, as there is no other choice for Russian equipment that is decent for her. Next is Kiev. Finally, a good Russian destroyer other than Tashkent. Like most Russian destroyers, she got high numbers on her HP and firepower. Her red skill is a time-based special barrage, which also improves her critical rate and damage. Her yellow skill increases her accuracy, and will have buffs depending on your fleet setup. Personally, I won't use her evasion buff because destroyers are technically paper when used as solo. Yes, she got high HP among the destroyer class, but this is not enough to tank the whole battle. Unless you are playing on a huge advantage. Overall, Kiev has a good boy. And she's a good girl. She is a strong destroyer that is best when paired with Tashkent. Tashkent will deal most of the damage at the start. And once her pixie expires, Kiev's critical rate and damage are online, which will cover Tashkent's flaw. Both of them have spammable barrage which can be helpful on clearing mobs. One caveat is that you need 2 Tashkent guns to max out their damage. If you only got one, then you can use the PR3DD gun as an alternative. Based on my testing, this gun yields more damage for prolonged battle, compared to the Tashkent gun. Next is our big sister, Volga. Finally, we got our carrier and dedicated healer for this faction. But that one major faction still doesn't have their dedicated healer. Her base stats are quite low for an SSR rarity. But before we draw our conclusion, let's check first her skills. Her red skill is an additional airstrike. Pretty standard to most of the carriers. But if the activation fails, it will fire a special barrage. This barrage will be fired from the middle position, regardless where you place her. Her first yellow skill will heal up to 3 of her allies, which are the lowest HP percentage, and 2 random ships. It is possible that one ship can receive more than 1 healing from her. The healing is based on her HP. I know that it is tempting to put high HP auxiliary to her, to increase her healing. But this will only give little to no value at all. Steam Catapult is still the best auxiliary for her as it offers more value to her overall damage. Her second yellow skill will increase her aviation depending on the format of your fleet. The maximum aviation buff she will get will skyrocket her position from mediocre to top tier, next to Hakuryu. Volga is a strong carrier when the conditions on her skill are met. It is
actually super easy, barely an inconvenience. Really?
As you only need 1 Russian ship as tank or flagship. Her healing can be unreliable occasionally, especially if there are multiple heavily damaged ships in your fleet, due to the randomness when selecting the recipient of her heal. In a relatively similar scenario, Arkhangelsk has weak firepower stat, but incredibly strong once her yellow skill is applied. Her red skill is a targeted time-based barrage. As of the writing, the wiki mentions that she only got 1 main gun. But this is not true, as she will gain additional guns if you limit break her. To be honest, I'm still skeptical on how I will rate her. She has strong firepower and her weapon efficiencies are close to the SSR battleships with aimed shot barrage. The only difference is that her skills are way too basic compared to the others. Since I only got her recently, I don't have enough time to test her out properly. Let me know in the comments section what are your thoughts on her power level. But one thing that we can agree about is her having the best pose. Also, her skin highly reminds me of Maha. Lastly, and definitely, the least. Idlene is an elite healer destroyer. But only limited to Russian destroyers, with a bias to Tashkent. She has a special barrage and smoke screen in her arsenal. But because most of us play in auto mode, the smoke screen is useless as the AI will continually move your vanguard randomly. The only redeeming factor is her good stats. But because of her almost useless skills, she won't be a good choice for later stages. But to be honest, her visual design is the best for me. It's simple, yet looks perfectly fine. Also, she had a look-alike. Damn, it made me remember this scene.
これどうやって流すの？
リボン外さないと。
わかった。こういうタイプね。キャって。
To summarize, Abyssal Refrain has 3 strong ships. 1 elite ship that has great potential. Farm D3 as most of the good drops are there. And buy the Crunchtad gun in the event shop. I hope that you will be lucky enough to get the UR ship in this event. There are still enough time to obtain cubes and coins. How's the event so far? Let me know in the comments section. And don't forget to subscribe and share this video to support my channel. You guys are awesome and see you next time.